This is where the big boys play, huh? We ain't here to play. At the total combined weight. At the total combined weight of 589 pounds.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, at well over 500 pounds, this is where the big boys play.
All right, welcome to the show, everybody. This is At a Combined Weight. I am your host, Charlie Dudley, joined, as always, by the most reverend Robert McElroy.
I got a brand new gimmick now.
Yeah, that's right. You're the Doctor of Style, Reverend Slick now.
No, we did, didn't we talk about that a little bit last week?
We did.
Okay,
I just brought it back to it.
I'm okay, good. I didn't think this was like a fresh announcement.
This is our part, like previously on At a Combined Weight, catching everybody up a little bit.
And there are so many times, man, and this happened with Cover 2, where you and I would be talking about stuff before the show that I always wish would make it onto the fucking show.
Oh yeah, well,
you and I just had a really fun conversation about Enzo and Kaz and Running Man and all that stuff, and it, of course, you parlayed that into making fun of how I didn't know about Running Man style dancing because I grew up in bumpkin ass goddamn Coontown. And so it's like, oh, that stuff doesn't make it. I finally just had to cut you out. Let's just do the show. Let's do the show before we miss any more gold.
Yeah. All right, today's show is going to be looking at the October 21st, 1996 edition of Nitro, live from Mankato, Minnesota. Just in case all those people listening in Mankato, Minnesota, sorry, I didn't even know that it was a place until we watched this Nitro. I know that I talked about how there are certain things on the Nitro that I didn't mind too much. I didn't like how we opened the show talking about Liz and Macho again. That whole storyline is, as you like to say, overcooked my grits.
When I was watching this yesterday, I knew immediately that was going to piss you off. One thing, I don't remember it being that much of a pushed thing. And it's not compelling at all. And maybe because I know, like, the ending, but I don't know. I just don't like it. It was heavy.
We'll talk a little bit more about it later in the show as we get into it. Opening match of the evening, Bobby Eaton against Chris Jericho. Bobby Eaton, of course, fresh off his defection from the Blue Bloods.
And I did not realize his ass was from Huntsville, Alabama.
Well, see, that's your lack of wrestling knowledge is appalling, and it makes me want to throw up right now.
I mean,
you can't even tell me that you don't even know like the great wrestlers from our home state. The great
wrestlers from our home state.
Yes, Bobby Eaton. Are you kidding me? Bobby Eaton's a great wrestler. He is in the same vein as Greg the Hammer Valentine at this point. All his good days are behind him. You know, beautiful Bobby Eaton is no longer. He is, but he is the Rocket City's own, man.
Just decent looking Bobby Eaton.
Mediocre. Over the hill, Bobby Eaton. Yeah, he was in the Midnight Express, man.
I mean, he could still go. I'll give it to him.
He could. I mean, that's one of those things. Like, if you're an old wrestler and you work that style, you can still work pretty well. You know, you can kind of adjust your style if you're that good.
He looked very un-Alabamian in his Blue Bloods gear. He was sharp, but as soon as he came out as just regular old Bobby Eaton, you could see the Alabama in that guy 100%.
Yeah. I mean, he's part of one of the greatest tag teams of all time, the Midnight Express, and also trained by Tojo Yamamoto
Yeah, him being an Alabamian, I guess he would.
Yeah. So, Shivani drops a bomb here too, and you're not really expecting it. That Sting's going to be here. You know, he says, "Hey, Sting's going to be here," and you're like, "The hell?"
Not gonna lie, I was pretty excited, and he goes on to say that the 16th of September was his last appearance.
Yeah, so it'd been over a month.
Yeah.
And I thought that, and I'd remembered, I guess, at this point, I was like, okay, that sounds about right, because I went as Sting for Halloween. You know, I remember you and I talked about that. I went and then I changed my face paint to Gene Simmons so that I could go around again in the neighborhood.
It's just brilliant. Yeah, no, I was Sting that same Halloween, man. That was
that was a big thing to do. Tons of Stings everywhere.
Yeah.
But we'll get to that a little bit later in the show. They show Six and the NWO Sting before the match gets underway. Six is set to be scouting Jericho because they will do battle at Halloween Havoc. Decent match here. Jericho gets the win with a missile drop kick. I mean, about what you expect if you're looking for an older Bobby Eaton and a young Chris Jericho. You know, good, hard-working match to get the young guy over.
Yeah, and he's one of those guys they've done a very fine job with. Always enjoyed Chris Jericho's work then. Now, love it.
Yeah, it's interesting to see him still being that, like, white meat babyface.
It really is.
And it's you've got that turn coming to where he's going to be just that asshole with the shit on his head and reading off his list of moves when he's going up against Dino Machino.
Oh, they're gonna. It's funny how, like, in wrestling, how you'll associate a costume change with a turn.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
With
a lot
a turn,
of times that's what kind of tips you off to it.
Absolutely. I love that. That you and I can associate his change in character simply with a bunched up head of hair and one of those little scrunchy things.
Yeah.
And it's a douchey look, but the character was an asshole.
Yeah, Jericho has done a great job in reinventing himself so much. And, he did the whole hair up like that in WWE, but he also had the little soul patch, the little goatee. Then he cut his hair, and now he wears the scarf, and he went from wearing pants to wearing trunks. And then, wears sparkled trunks now, and it when you have a heel turn, you've got to change your look a little bit so you can get a new action figure.
It's true.
It's because you can't be the white meat babyface action figure. I mean, it just doesn't work out.
Well, and a change in appearance helps to keep you fresh in the minds of the fans. I've talked so many times about how I wish Roman Reigns would change up his gear a little bit.
Yeah.
The Shield's done. The Shield's done. Don't come out in Shield gear or modify it. And it's been modified a little bit, not enough for my taste.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Up next, we had Dean Malenko and Jimmy Graffiti. And before we get to the match, we had a video package for Ray because they can't bother to get their Cruiserweight champion to fucking Nitro in several weeks. I don't think he's been on the show since the pay-per-view. Has he?
I think you're right.
I mean, he wasn't on any of the last several weeks. And Eddie Guerrero has been very sparse, too. And I mean, I can't, Saturday night's not on the network, so I'm not watching that along with it, so I can't remember if he's on Saturday night. But I don't think that he would be. I mean, he's obviously in Mexico or Japan or something.
Well, I remember they had a loaded card. A loaded roster, rather, WCW did around this time, but so loaded that my God, there are so many people in this roster.
Oh, yeah.
Even the dinosaurs, from Greg Valentine to Bobby Eaton to, Rock and Roll Express.
Oh, yeah, those guys will come in and just do kind of, here and there. But you'd want to have your champion on the damn program.
Well, we haven't had Steven Regal either.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
I mean,
you're And Flair, does he even still have the U.S. belt, or is it like lost in Charlotte, North Carolina somewhere?
He might have
traded it in for something.
He might have lost it somewhere, and they just can't come up with a good enough storyline for why he doesn't have it or some shit.
I mean, he's going to lose it to somebody here soon, but I mean, like, there's been no titles even outside of the tag titles seen on Nitro in several weeks.
Oh yeah,
you haven't seen Lord Steven Regal, you haven't seen Ray, you've seen Flair, but no U.S. title, and Hogan is obviously not going to be on Nitro a lot, and when he is, he doesn't have the belt with him, or if he does have the belt with him, that's the only time you ever see a damn championship belt besides the Harlem Heat.
Yeah. Well, we'll have a lot of title matches on Halloween Havoc.
Oh yeah, always. You always have the title matches at the pay-per-view. They just don't build to them very well.
Gotta. Well, WCW would have some title matches on Nitro like a year or two down the line. Where
they were good.
It was great. And as a viewer who never fucking saw a pay-per-view, you're like, thank God they didn't have it on pay-per-view. Otherwise,
right,
I'm screwed.
So Dean Malenko, Jimmy Graffiti. Of course, Jimmy Graffiti is formerly Jimmy Del Rey, Smoky Mountain Wrestling, WWF. He was in the Heavenly Bodies with Dr. Tom Pritchard. And he is dressed kind of, and I'll throw away the kind of, very douchily. He had a black shirt on, and it said graffiti twice on the back, and WCW on the left shoulder. And he was wearing like these shitty spray-painted looking boots, and it was just a terrible, like, I felt sorry for Jimmy Del Rey that he was Jimmy Graffiti.
Yeah, you can't leave out the jorts.
Oh, yeah, and the jorts. But the jorts were, not, I mean, they're very 90s. And then, of course, John Cena.
Oh, well, yeah, well, I'm ashamed to say I had jorts.
I didn't wear jorts.
When I was, but I don't think you've ever put denim on your body.
Yeah, you're right. I don't wear a lot of denim.
10 years, and I still have not seen you in jeans.
Yeah, you probably won't ever see me in jeans. I don't, even when I was like really like a smaller guy in high school, I wore jeans very sparingly. And they were always like cut and frayed so they could fit over boots, but I never wore boots. But that was just like the style.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I just never been a huge fan. Always just khaki pant type guy.
Khaki pant or khaki short or gym short.
That's right. So now the people of the fandom of At a Combined Weight know what I wear all the time.
They know exactly what the fuck you wear.
This is a decent match. I mean, Graffiti's a pretty good worker. Malenko could wrestle a dead person to a good match, and it's a pretty good match. About what you'd expect for these two guys. Malenko gets the win with the Texas Cloverleaf, and just still pushing his match. He is solely pushing his match with Ray at the pay-per-view. Still has the mask, and they're ready to do battle at Slim Jim's Halloween Havoc.
It's so interesting that he is the lone guy pushing it. And, I mean, the announcers don't even talk about it that much.
No, they don't.
He comes to the ring with a mask of Mysterio, and he doesn't even promo, dude. That's it.
No, he talks a little shit at the camera, but that's it. Like, your time's up, or I'm coming for you, that kind of, like one sentence. It wasn't like promo time or anything like that. Up next, DDP, Sergeant Craig Pittman. This was a nothing match for me. Just a drop back pushing DDP's match with Eddie Guerrero at Halloween Havoc. Another guy that we haven't seen very much of is Eddie Guerrero. And one thing I noticed is when Sergeant Craig Pittman got some offense, he pushes DDP into the ring post. And then he does these like terrible left-handed European uppercuts to DDP's shoulder. It just looked so haphazard. It was like, I'm going to just throw my arms up. I've not been impressed by Craig Pittman.
I'm not going to lie to you. Every time I hear the snare drum, I'm already like, damn it, here we go. I do not enjoy his matches.
You're nice. You're better than me because I watch the WWE Network on a PS3, and on my PS3 controller, I press the right toggle and it goes to each chapter, so I can see what matches are up next, and I write them all down. So I already know my impending doom when I write down Sergeant Craig Pittman.
I guess I just like the surprise of it.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I will put my little cursor over the little dot there on the scroll to see what's up, but I do try to make it, I guess as much like the olden days as possible.
Right.
But no, I don't.
What'd you think of this one?
Oh, what? I mean, it further perpetuates how much of a problem child Nick Patrick is becoming, but even that is really, really wearing on me.
Oh yeah, I'm well past wanting that to come to a head and go ahead and have him be an NWO guy now.
Yeah, and I mean, as far as DDP is concerned, my hat's off to that man in every way it could be. Looking back on his rise in WCW and knowing how old he was and how over he would eventually become, I'm enjoying watching him. That's why it's so fun doing a show like this, doing a project of this nature, is I can see people's comeuppance, and about the 7 to 10 guys, if that are booked very well. I can watch the perfect storm just unfold, and DDP is one of those, man.
Yeah. DDP gets a win with a diamond cutter. Pittman had DDP locked in the code red, which is just like an arm bar. And for some reason, Teddy Long gets on the ring apron, and Nick Patrick is distracted. And then Craig Pittman releases the hold for some reason. DDP gets up, hits the diamond cutter. And Shivani accuses Nick Patrick of being the NWO referee from the NWO segments on WCW Saturday Night. Nick Patrick says that he's in better shape than that guy. And again, we just kind of are stringing this storyline along. Up next, we have the pay-per-view match. If you're facing the Giant at the pay-per-view, you are automatically going to wrestle Ron Studd. And, of course, here we've got Ron Studd, Jeff Jarrett. And it's a recap of what happened to Ric Flair and showing how Jarrett got into the mix. And Ric Flair comes out. And they have a strut off, and then they shake hands. What do you think about the strut off? I know that you're a big Flair mark.
I am a big Flair mark. I don't know why I was expecting there to be some heat with this angle. I guess I wanted it.
Oh, between he and Jarrett?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't get it, but it made sense why. I mean, look, I have put up with the worst of the worst dancing gimmicks with WWE in recent years, that This was, as a result, perfectly palatable.
Right.
So.
Yeah, like I said, it's a warm-up to prepare for the Giant. Of course, Jeff Jarrett will face at Halloween Havoc, he'll face the Giant. And if you're going to face the Giant at a pay-per-view, you always face Ron Studd. We've seen it with Macho Man. We've seen it with Chris Benoit. Yeah. And now we see it with Jeff Jarrett. One thing I noticed, this match is, pretty much nothing. But Ron Studd has tiny arms. Like, he has very short arms to be his size. Like, when he raised his hands up, I felt like they were barely over his head. There's, an instance where he, raises his hands, and it's it looks kind of, I don't know, like he has my arms on his body. But I don't even know if he could put his hands in his pockets.
He has, but his legs, though, they match his legs are long as hell.
He's huge. But I feel like his arms are really, really short. Go back and watch it.
I think you're probably right.
But it's a nothing match. Like I said, it's just a drop back to show that, Jarrett can fight a big guy. He suplexes him and then puts him in the figure 4.
I was impressed with the suplex. I was really impressed by that. It looked good and
it
can't be easy.
Yeah, you're right. It looked good. So what did you think of the post-match interview with Jarrett and Flair and?
Oh God! Well, it was just it reached a, when I saw Flair enter the frame, I thought, good, the segment has been saved.
Yeah. Ha ha.
Oh God.
Ha ha. That's Jeff Jarrett. It's like,
yeah. Will Smith used to do that in his rap music. He would like laugh, and I'm a white meat rapper or white meat babyface. He would like laugh in his songs to perpetuate that he was a good person.
Yeah, well,
like that's what Jarrett does. Yeah, Flair steps in and he saves it, man. He talks about I like how he discussed how the NWO outsmarted the Four Horsemen. Remember how pissed you were that they had beat him down and the Horsemen were nowhere to be found? Flair admits defeat. Y'all outsmarted us. You outflanked us. That's rare. You got us. I admit that. So, I mean, I like that we had a little retrospective storytelling there.
Yeah, and it was nice to see him kind of save that and say, you know, we're the dirtiest players in the game and you were dirty than us and you outsmarted us. So, you know, tip of the cap. Which, at this point, the NWO angle is just dragging on. And everyone's just had the hell kicked out of them. It's I'm ready to see some folks get their heat back, man. You're going to be waiting quite a bit. Post-match interview, Flair gets involved. Then they show Giant in the crowd. Flair's going to be in Jarrett's corner. And then up next, we have a fantastic 5-star match with Roadblock and Lex Luger. And you're thinking, who? Exactly. Roadblock. Yeah. This giant man that looks like Tugboat and the Earthquake had a love child with Balls Mahoney. And this man was born. He comes out carrying a Roadblock or like a safety sawhorse on his shoulders just to let you know that he's the Roadblock.
And he's already dressed like one.
Yeah, I mean, he's fucking huge.
He's a big dude, and it was very reminiscent of Typhoon or Earthquake, Shark. You know, it's interesting because we're in an era where, and Bret Hart talks about it in his book, you know, we're in the mid-90s where we're starting to get, or we're needing to exit that cartoonish gimmick kind of chapter we had in wrestling history, but you still have some characters like this floating around, and the Roadblock's a good example of that.
Yeah, so many people during this era were jobs. Like, that was their gimmick. Oh, you're going to be a big construction worker. That'll be fun. You're a big construction worker. We're not going to call you, like, Mr. Construction. We'll be clever, and we'll call you Roadblock.
Because you got to be huge in order to block a road, and you are
right.
huge.
And you're huge. Oh, yeah. You're going to be a piece of machinery. Hooray.
And if you lose to him, you get a DUI. Actually, you don't, but.
Right, exactly. Or you fuck your car up because you hit him, I guess. But
I think Roadblock, I think DUI.
The best part of this match was the Arn Anderson promo, pushing the match against Luger at Halloween Havoc. And then the torture rack was an impressive spot to see Luger put like a small whale on his back. But we've kind of seen that at this point.
Yeah, but my bigger issue with it, and it was an impressive feat for sure.
It took him like 5 times, though.
3 attempts. Here's what I would rather see happen from just a in-ring work standpoint. After attempt number 1, keep working. Keep having a match. A couple spots later, try number 2. It doesn't work. Keep having a fucking match. Keep having some back and forth. Then number 3.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that it was only supposed to be 1 attempt and they fucked it up twice?
I have in me better intuition about these kind of instances than I used to, and yes, I do believe it was only supposed to be 1.
Yeah, I think so too. And because of the way that Luger kind of drops him, it's just like he's kind of frustrated. When he drops him on the first one, it looks kind of like, oh shit, I dropped him. But when he drops him on the second and the third one, he's like, you fat piece of shit, I'm going to drop you. Because Luger can't do it by himself to that big of a guy. So the big guy has to help him. And so the big guy didn't help him enough on the second one, and then he does, and he fucking drops him pretty good on the last one. He just kind of throws him off like, bitch.
Well, and you can see the frustration a little bit in the eyes of Roadblock.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, he's probably like, fuck, I'm done. I'm never working WCW again. I just fucked up a torture rack on Nitro against Luger.
I better put the majority of this check in savings.
Yeah, my goose is cooked.
And he was a big guy and could work. I thought he could work pretty well for his size, as is the case with most big men that get to this point in their career, or at least to a promotion like WCW or WWF. But I do not remember him at all.
No, me either. And he was obviously an enhancement guy. That's why we don't remember him. But up next, you had the American Males against Harlem Heat. This is the first time we've seen American Males in quite some time. You know, Scotty Riggs got the shit kicked out of him at MGM, but we haven't seen the Males back together as a tag team since well before that. We've seen Bagwell wrestle some solo stuff, but, I mean, I thought this was a decent match, and they fucked up the finish.
It had been a while, but, if we can rewind just a tad, when we have Lee Marshall on the road in Phoenix, Arizona, and it was plugged that Atlanta Braves got a big win over New York, and Bischoff uses that as an opportunity to slam WWF a little bit.
Yeah, I was going to bring that out a little bit in a second, because he quotes the score quite a bit throughout the second hour. For those of you who don't remember that aren't obviously Yankee fans or Brave fans, 1996 World Series was the Atlanta Braves against the New York Yankees. And the Braves were a really good team. They had won the World Series in 95. And so they were trying to repeat. They get all the way back to the World Series, and then they lose. And Bischoff used this as a drop back to take a dig at WWF, because you have WCW, who's Atlanta, and you have WWF, who's New York. So, yeah, I was wondering if you were going to catch that, because I know you're not much of a baseball fan.
Not much of a baseball fan, but from a geography standpoint, how perfect. Bischoff was probably just chomping at the bit, could not wait to use this as an opportunity to bury WWF a little bit.
Well, yeah, and it's ironic that, that's the last game that the Braves win in the series.
Yes.
Because the Yankees win 4 straight and close it out in Yankee Stadium. And so, I don't think that he'll be talking much about the World Series moving forward.
Oh, no,
Well, I mean, it's a nice little piece of, it's a nice little piece of synergy too, because, Ted Turner still owned the Braves at this point.
Yes.
So that's a big thing for them to tout, that, hey, this game just went final. If you're a wrestling baseball fan, you don't even need to swap over. The Braves won. They're up 2-0 in the World Series. This is going to be an easy one. And that's kind of what he was saying. So
it's so Atlanta to just like get your ass kicked after going up 4-0.
Oh yeah. Especially Braves in that time period. I mean, because before they won it in 95, they went to the World Series and lost every year.
Dude. Yeah, that's Atlanta.
I mean, Atlanta. The Atlanta Braves were the Buffalo Bills after the Bills, had their bed shitting in the Super Bowl those years. If you were a Buffalo Bill football fan and an Atlanta Braves baseball fan, you probably didn't make it out of 1996. Like, you were on the borderline suicidal.
Oh, if you did get out of it, your ass was in therapy regularly.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. And, the Braves haven't been good since. I mean, to that level, and neither of the Bills. So, American Males, Harlem Heat. What did you think about the finish? Because I thought they fucked it up.
They did fuck it up. You couldn't help but notice Marcus Alexander Bagwell's hesitation to let the angle play out. Did you notice that? I mean, had he pretended to get hung up on the ropes a little bit, one of his feet or something, and fall, and then you can't quite reach to stop the.
Yeah,
but
he
no,
did
he
a
just
terrible job.
hesitated. Yeah.
He got in the ropes and he was like, "Oh shit, I went too early. Let me just kind of act like I'm in slow motion or I'm in water." Yeah, so Bagwell's late breaking up the pin. Harlem Heat gets the win, which they should. They're the tag team champions heading into Halloween Havoc, doing battle with the Outsiders. I thought the American Males, looked about as good as they needed to look here. I just saw Bagwell screwed up the finish.
Yeah.
Outsiders are shown in the crowd, pushing their big match, in which the last line of defense for the WCW tag team titles are Harlem Heat. Up next, you had the Fantastics versus the Faces of Fear. And for those of you who don't know the Fantastics and how great they were, they're a legendary team back in the NWA World Class and Smoky Mountain. Here, it's what happens in the Nitro era. If you were a great NWA or a great World Class tag team, you come to be an enhancement guy in WCW. It's like, well, you're pushing 40 plus. We're going to have you come in and put over some of our younger guys. And
don't
here,
you think
they just got the shit kicked out of them.
Right.
What?
Don't you think that at that point in your career, you don't mind putting younger guys over, or you shouldn't?
Yeah, well, you don't. It's not necessarily that you don't mind it, but I don't think if you let's say you're bringing in the Dudleys or the Legion of Doom or the Hardy Boys or Edge and Christian, those guys are going to have hard-fought matches to enhance somebody and put them over, not a glorified squash. That's my problem with it. I don't have a problem with guys doing right by the business and putting over younger guys, but I do have a problem with them getting zero offense. Now, I have less of a problem with them getting zero offense when they're facing the fucking Ming and Barbarian, because everybody that faces them should die. I don't know how they're not the champions all the time because they're so, everything they do looks so good and so fierce, and I guess because if you put the titles on them, it'd be hard to get them off of them.
And they have great gimmicks. I mean, it's kind of stereotypical, but not enough to be like, what the fuck's going on here? It's so believable, and I love believability in my wrestling more than anything. And they weren't booked very well around this time period at all. They really weren't.
I thought that their gimmicks in WCW were much, much better from a stereotypical standpoint than WWF.
I agree.
I mean, because you had Ming as Haku. He's, the king of Tonga, and he's not wearing any shoes. And the Barbarian's wearing a damn loincloth and has, bones of animals as, his ring gear and shit. And neither of them really were pushed to the gills at all. At least as a tag team, they can kind of get some pushes toward the top of the card during this time period.
Yeah, I mean, they hang around the mid-card during this time period and have great matches. I mean, I look forward to every one of them.
Oh, yeah. I mean, how can you not enjoy Ming and the Barbarian just decimating people?
Oh,
I could
great.
watch them as now, they're probably in their 60s. I could watch them beat the shit out of enhancement guys every week.
I watched a YouTube video not long ago, and Ming is actually still doing some wrestling. He's 59.
Yeah. And
Still
he's
in good shape.
Yeah.
He is in good shape. He looks really good for a dude that age. Still doing some decent in-ring work, man. I forget exactly where he is. I mean, it's a small-time promotion for sure. And he's still in a tag team.
He's probably just doing independence. And I mean, as a tag team,
yeah.
It's easy for an old guy to do a tag team because you're not working as long.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if he's in a tag team with a younger guy, let the younger guy take all the bumps and do all the shit that you don't want to do, and you get in and you do the power spots, and that's it. That's what you want to see. That's what you pay to see Ming do anyway. Is have him kick somebody and chop them and fucking put the Tongan death grip on them and, you know, squash their head like a bug.
I love him. I love hearing his little him talking whatever tongue that is.
Yeah.
That's like so cool and such a subtle way to perpetuate your gimmick.
Right. And as a Samoan, as you get older, I don't think you like gain weight unless you're going to be Japanese. And this is mid-90s WWF.
He's strong as an ox, dude.
Oh yeah, he probably bench presses a small car still. Up next, you had Mr. JL against the NWO Sting. This was billed as Sting throughout the night, and then Bischoff kind of rains on the parade earlier and says that it's going to be the NWO Sting. And the entire NWO minus Hogan will be ringside for this match. And Sting squashes Mr. JL, which I was not a fan of either. Because if you remember, earlier in the Nitro era, Mr. JL and Rey Mysterio had a hell of a match.
Yep.
You know, and Jerry Lynn is Mr. JL, which is one of the fathers of the X Division with Samoa Joe and Christopher Daniels. So, had such great matches in the early days of TNA and had some great matches with Rob Van Dam. And just to have him squashed was kind of shitty by the NWO Sting. And I know it was a drop back for an angle, but still, it's just a lack of protection for a lot of these guys. It was just, you know, kind of shitty in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. And there's plenty of other guys you could feed to bogus Sting.
Oh, exactly.
Plenty of other ones,
right.
Man.
So NWO Sting squashes Mr. JL, and he's got him in the Scorpion Deathlock, and then the real Sting comes out. And he's wearing white face paint with a little bit of black around his eyes, but not quite like Crow Sting yet. And I remember him coming out, but I don't remember his face paint being like not all the way the Crow yet. You know, maybe it's like a progression maybe?
It's pretty Crowish. I mean, if you look at the white portion of his face paint, it's very much the shape that it was throughout the 90s.
Right. But the eyes weren't as black, and the lip, like it didn't. I feel like he looks more Crow-like in the coming weeks than this week.
Well, because Crow had the black lines go down the middle of the eye, and he just like Hagwoods it more down the line. It looks more awesome the further and further we go.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, it didn't look as produced, as well produced, I guess, this time.
It's interesting because, I mean, we were talking earlier about a change in look, indicating a change in your gimmick, and this is like right in between. He is just right in the middle of being that dark character, kind of a knockoff of Undertaker, and then right in the middle there. It's so interesting to see. And I remember seeing this as a kid and being kind of like freaked out, kind of compelled that he's got a brand new, I mean, it's so different from what we were used to with all the colors and.
Yeah, I mean, everything is so muted now, and he's all in black and white, and he doesn't say much. He wasn't his like usual bombastic self, and it is kind of a subdued gimmick for him. And tweeners were the thing in '96, you know. And that's the NWO became tweeners because they were booked to be heels, but the crowd loved them. Stone Cold was the same way. NWO, or for Sting as the Crow Sting, he was the same way. He was able to do, like a tweener in this era is able to do heelish things but get cheered for them. You know, the Surfer Sting was so nice and white meat babyface, and I think it needed a reboot, to be honest.
I mean, crowds were changing around this time.
Yeah. The
Crowds
business,
were,
America,
yeah.
I mean, everything.
Oh my God, heels were getting increasingly over.
Yep.
Cartoonish gimmicks were dying by the day.
Yeah.
This is an interesting time in wrestling, man. It really is.
Yeah. So Sting grabs NWO Sting, Scorpion Death drops him, then does 2 elbow drops where he gets some pretty good elevation on him. Then he Stinger splashes him, then he Scorpion Death locks, and then the NWO comes in the ring. DiBiase offers Sting a spot on the NWO. Nash quotes your boy, which I'm sure you popped huge for.
I did pop huge for that.
Never been a huge Doors fan, as you know.
I'm aware.
And then Hall asks him, hey, you know, all these years waving the banner for WCW, what do you have to show for it? And I think it's so good from a strategic and a cerebral standpoint for a heel to speak truth. And it makes them more of a compelling character, and it makes the babyface seem that much more in peril. And as a fan, it kind of tears at you a little bit because you know that's like, oh, shit, that's true. Because Sting did everything that he was supposed to do for WCW. And WCW is the reason that, like, he got screwed over. And he didn't do anything wrong. And Hall's saying, hey, you know, what have they done for you? You know, here's what we can do for you. And so I think that's a very, very compelling thing and that's why tweeners became, like, cool, because they did shit like that. Because, I mean, who doesn't want to hang out with Hall and Nash? I mean, I'm not a big Doors fan, but you got Nash quoting a Doors song, and then Hall speaking truth, and DiBiase's talking about money. Who doesn't want that?
Oh, it's totally cool.
You know? I mean, the Doors aren't for me, but they're still a, you know, super popular band, and iconic, loved by millions. I'm just not one of those millions.
Dude, Six, when we first see him on WCW television, I don't know if you remember, but he's wearing a Doors t-shirt.
Yeah, you brought that up, I remember.
Maybe he and Nash get stoned and listen to the Doors.
Oh, there's no maybe about it.
There's
no doubt about it.
Sophomore...
Nash, and Hall, I guarantee you they're all just doobieing it up and rocking out to some Jim Morrison and the Doors.
Dude, sophomore in college me would have just been all over that. I would all about it, listening to the end, and I even know what song I'd want to hear with those guys toking down to some Doors.
So Sting's, you know, drops a little lines. He says he may not be in NWO's price range, but he may be. The only thing that's for sure is nothing's for sure. So he just kind of, Sting starts in limbo a little bit, and this is going to progress to, you know, Man on an Island. You know, that Sting Crow gimmick that everybody loves so much.
Oh, God, there's a lot to love about it.
Yeah.
There's
Which
just
I'm
so much
excited
to
to
love.
see where it goes, because I'd forgotten that he walked down the ramp first before he comes out of the rafters. I'd forgotten that he, like, you know, just strolls down there and everybody gets all excited and huge pop.
Oh, dude, before he ascends from the rafters, we'll just see him up there hanging out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean, and it's just such a cool image.
Oh, yeah. And it's so ominous, and and the slow build works for that. The slow build has not worked for Macho Man and Liz. Speaking of, your main event of the evening is supposed to be the Macho Man Chris Benoit, which would have been, by all accounts, a knockdown, drag-out, fun-as-hell match.
Damn near worth putting on pay-per-view.
But Savage comes out dressed in a leather version of his wrestling gear, it almost looks like.
Well, it would almost be like if The Undertaker were to go drinking on a Friday night, that's what he'd wear.
I mean, he wore cowboy boots, leather pants, your Macho Man leather jacket with like leather fringe everywhere. And it was very Macho Man-esque, his outfit, so I dug it. But he comes out in all black street clothes, as it were. And, of course, Bischoff stops him at the entrance and wants to show him a video. And they lost me there. Once they started on the video, it was shit. It was terrible. Terrible shit.
It went on for too long, and it wasn't
what did
believable.
You think about it?
I popped a little bit for him being on set. And, when you're on set, there's so many, you're on set for hours and hours and hours. Like, the ratio between when you're doing stuff in front of a hot camera and when you're just chilling, it's not even close. So they had time to kill and to be able to do this. And Hogan had, I'm sure, the kind of push to be able to make this happen. Of course, Ted Turner had the kind of push to make it happen too. You know what? Let's synergize the shit out of this.
Right.
Let's send a crew. Let's fly the Giant out there, and let's do a little thing. The issue was how long it went. I hated when they had a camera waiting in the trailer where Liz was. She was sent to Hogan's trailer to be detained on set. Because that shit would fly.
Yeah.
As much fucking paperwork as you have to fill out on set, you're gonna have a false imprisonment sort of thing happen.
Right.
So it went on too long.
It was so insipid and this is awful. Hogan fires the director, and then the Giant's a new director, and the whole segment just drug on way too long, and then they come back to the arena, and Macho just stays silent, and then he walks away, and then he comes back, and he starts talking about the fragility of friendships and business. And then I remember this because, like, I always used to say it in, like, a Macho Man voice, where he tells Hogan that life is fragile, implying that Hogan crossed the line and that Macho Man's going to kill him. And Bischoff's like, no, don't do that, implying that he's going fucking nuts and he's going to kill Hogan.
I had interpreted it as Macho was going to maybe, like, hurt himself.
Oh, no, I didn't get that from it.
He's already messed up, Macho Man. He's already insane, and he's already just super depressed and super pissed off. I was like, well, this guy's capable of the very worst thing.
Well, see, I took it as Macho's been pushed over the edge, and this is going to drip past a match at Halloween Havoc, and that's why Bischoff was like, no, don't do that. Like that Macho had just said, all right, fuck it, I'm going to go kill this dude.
Man, I remember as a kid seeing Macho Man come out in his street clothes, thinking like, wow, this has got very, very real.
Right.
Because I'd never seen Macho in anything other than his ring attire.
Right.
But I did not recall how Macho Man-esque it was, and how, like, Dumb and Dumber, you got Lloyd Christmas with his crazy jacket with all the streamers and shit all over it.
It fit, though. I mean, he could pull it off. It was very Macho Man-esque, so.
I thought it was a cool look. It didn't remind you of The Undertaker at all?
No, I mean, it just looked like Macho Man had made all of his stuff leather. So, that's the end of the show for the Nitro. We're pushing into, this is the go-home show for Halloween Havoc. So our next installments will be Halloween Havoc and the Nitro after Halloween Havoc. And from what I remember, Halloween Havoc was a pretty good show from a wrestling standpoint and angle-wise.
Oh, dude, I'm excited that we get Syxx versus Chris Jericho added to the card.
Well, you got Malenko Mysterio, which is a phenomenal match. You've got a pretty decent card. So just from a wrestling standpoint, I'm looking forward to it. But from an angle standpoint, I guess I am too. You got anything else?
No, sure don't.
All right, social media. Where can we stalk you and send you bad things?
Social media, and it better be bad things. It's what I prefer. Being_large on Twitter and Facebook, on Twitter and Instagram. And on Facebook, Robert McElroy, actor.
You can follow us on the show's Twitter. It's at A Combined Weight. You can also email us at acombinedweight@gmail.com. Check out our other things on our YouTube channel. Again, thanks for clicking the link that brought you here on pwinsiderelite.com. Make sure you check out the rest of the elite offerings at PW Insider. Thanks for supporting At a Combined Weight. We'll see you next time.
Police still waiting for the chance.
the stars.